Welcome to Permission to Shine, the space where high-achieving women like you come to peel back the layers, overcome what's been holding you back, and rise into your most authentic, powerful self. I'm your host, Sharice Bisram, inner power activation leader and intuitive healer, and a woman who knows what it means to look like she's thriving on the outside, also while feeling disconnected on the inside. This podcast is here to remind you, you didn't come here to just perform, you came here to lead with your soul. Your obstacles, they're invitations to expand. And your power, it was never outside of you. It's been waiting within you all along. Each week we'll dive into honest conversations, healing insight and soul-led strategies to help you stop self-sabotaging, reclaim your light and lead your life, your business and your relationships from deep-rooted truth. So if you're ready to rise with grace, softness and fire, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 107. And today I really wanted to talk to you about my turning 34. Now, I've got a week to go, just less than a week to go until I turn 34. And I just wanted to talk about this year that I've had because it has been so bloody challenging, let me tell you. And I feel like there's always moments in our lives where they feel particularly difficult and all of the things. But for some reason, 33 really does feel like it's chewed me up and spat me back out again. Now, what I will say is the first half of turning 33 was actually really lovely. You know, I got to experience really beautiful things. Obviously, my birthday, well, I say obviously, you don't might not know, my birthday is the 22nd of August. And funny enough, in 2023, the Venus retrograde fell over my birthday, and that was really, really hard. And what's interesting is I feel like some of the themes that I experienced then I'm always closing the circle of now, which is, yeah, just healing in general, right? Isn't it? But yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you an overview because if you're someone that, you know, is scared of turning whatever age it is, I just want you to know that the outside of everyone's lives looks so pristine and beautiful, especially when you look on social media. But actually, we don't really realize how many battles people are facing. And something that I've been really dedicated to with the podcast is giving you the real tea on what I'm moving through. Because, yeah, I just want you to know that it is heavy. And, you know, a lot of my friends, especially my spiritual friends, always say to me, you've lived like 10 lifetimes in one. And I've also lived a lot of past lives. For anyone that's woo-woo with me here, I know that I've lived a lot of past lives too. So it's just, yeah, it sometimes feels, dare I say the word unfair, because it feels very heavy at times. But at the same time, I know it needs to be that way because this is why I carry so much wisdom in my soul, in my young soul, you know, not very old still, and I have a lot of wisdom, and it's because I've just lived through a lot of stuff, really. And I feel like that is one of my many talents and gifts is the fact that, yeah, I have wisdom because of experience. And yeah, it's why I do what I do, really, to be honest. But yeah, going back to kind of turning 33 last August. August was stunning for me last year because I went to Glastonbury, had lots of time off. It was just like a real recalibration moment. And that August was like the first year that I hadn't been dancing professionally. So I had so much time on my hands. I'd worked all the way up until sort of the July time. And so August was a real chance to rest and reset. And it was just stunning. I had a really, really beautiful August. And then it so happened that someone had dropped out of the LA retreat and I could go in September. So then the end of August, I was sort of trying to get my plans together, ready for that, which was really lovely. That I managed to be able to go to that because then in LA, when I went there, I got to meet all of the beautiful girls that are part of the Wealthy Women community that Rebecca Barr, my previous mentor, had set up. And obviously, I've worked with Rebecca for over a year at the time. So, you know, it was really beautiful to be back in her energy and all the lovely ladies that I'd been with. And just a reminder that we're all building, you know, everyone was in a different part of their business. And I think it was just a really nice insight to, yeah, what's possible. And going back to LA again, because I was meant to move there as a dancer, and going back there doing the work I do now, there's just something so beautiful about that for me that really just, yeah, it's just, I don't know what the right word is. Nostalgia. I don't know. There's a soul connection to LA for me for sure, because when I'm there, something just really wonderful happens in my soul. And it was only a short trip, really. It was like less than a week, but really impactful, which was so lovely. And I'm really grateful for that. And I came back and I had Soul Speak. So yeah, I did my talk and that was really, I mean, to be honest, I've been a speaker for a long time. I delivered one of my workshops in LA as well, funny enough, which was really lovely to be able to do that. And then coming into Soul Speaks and again meeting another community of soul aligned visionary women that want to change the world or make the world a better place for women and for themselves and all of the wonderful things. That again was just a confirmation of my mission and as to why I was no longer going to be a professional dancer anymore. Like that in itself was like telling me that, yeah, you did the right thing. You've made it through, right? So I was really grateful for that. And then in the November, I got to deliver my program Permission to Shine in schools. That was the second and third cohort of that program. So the year was really beautiful in terms of business. And then I had my aunt's wedding, who had been with her partner for like my whole life and never got married. And then they just randomly decided to. So that was beautiful, celebrating love and then having Christmas and all the things. So that first half of the year was stunning, real reminder of why I have now moved completely into this space and not doing both at the same time anymore. And now movement still plays a big part of my life, but in a way that benefits the work that I do. So I'm not just dancing for the sake of it anymore. I'm dancing with purpose to release trauma, feel good about myself, release endorphins that, yeah, offset these really beautiful energy within me, and connect back to my body, all of those really intentional points. Whereas when you dance for the sake of dancing, you have to love it. And I've said that a million times over. Even years ago when I started the podcast, I was still dancing as well as doing my business. And it was, yeah, I still loved it then. I don't anymore, not in that capacity. And that's a really wonderful thing to do. So coming into 2025, I knew that 2025 was the year, the 9 year, the end of the cycle. And let me tell you, the dregs of the barrel, what? I just feel like all of my old patterns had came up to tell me, hiya, hiya, still just like one drop's left, just a little tiny bits left of this remnants of, yeah, this like uncomfortable ickiness, right? And I think what's really interesting about this, which I will highlight, is I was so numb for most of my life, and it's only been obviously since I embarked on my healing journey, which is like 5, 6 years ago now, this process of healing and softening and feeling that prior to that, even when things are really tough in my life, because I was so numb to it, I didn't feel it. So now when I can feel, I'm like, ugh, this is really uncomfortable. And it's just sitting with that and embracing it. Yeah. And what I will say is, while navigating not doing dance and my business at the same time, that was a challenge as well, because I'd always had kind of like this backup of just falling into doing some dance work, and I didn't have that anymore. I had to solely rely on creating this real empire that I'm trying to build in my life. And what's been really interesting for me is going back into the old performance mindset of pushing, like in my head, I was thinking, right, well, I need to keep doing this or do more of this and build this because then that will give me X, Y, Z result, right? That's not how it works. And what's a really wonderful thing that I would say to anyone starting a business is you've got to be all in on it. You absolutely have got to be all in it. But if you can do other things that support your business as well, so you're financially supported, that would make a massive difference because that's what I did the first couple of years of starting this business. And then for some reason this year I thought, no, gonna go at it, gonna be 100% all in. And I was like, at times I was like, and it's just navigating that space. I forget that I was a professional dancer for 11 years, and actually if I zoom all the way back to being 23 and being like 1 or 2 years into my dance journey, I also had moments where it was still, there wasn't anything really happening. And in that time, I would pick up some promo work or, yeah, some dance teaching work or whatever. There were so many different options I could do. Whereas in my business now, it's me. It's just me. And I feel like what the real goal is for me now is to create more, I guess, of an ecosystem that connects lots of different people to me in different ways. Because what I'm aware of is everything I've been building is brick by brick. I'm building a legacy and something that will stand the test of time. And what I'm looking forward to in my business more than anything is giving parts away to people. And what I mean by that is like the admin side of things, the following up with people side of things, the event planning side of things, all of these things I'm currently doing myself. And it's a lot, And so the beginning half of the year I hired a VA and she is amazing. She's absolutely wonderful. And it's been lovely to have someone support me in that space because I can't do it all on my own, And I think that's been something that this year, 33, has taught me more than anything is that the old ways of hustling, proving, and forcing do not work anymore. Whatever I used to get away with as a dancer does not work as an inner power activation leader and intuitive healer, let me tell you that. And more so because I'm different, like I said, I feel everything so deeply, even down to being really tired now. Like I physically can't push through. Whereas there was a version of me that would push through the tiredness, push through the fatigue, push through the burnout, and just keep going. I do not have the capacity to want to do that in any form of a way. But I'm really being, what's the right word? Patient with myself. And I think I'm someone that would call myself impatient back in the day. But now I've realized I just need time in between. And that's really okay. And I've mentioned a million times in this podcast, I'm a manifesting generator. So when I'm doing something I absolutely love, I can recharge my battery that way. But when I'm doing the bits in between, like the admin or the copy or whatever it is, that's when I start to feel burnt out. And that's where I need to pass it on to someone else. But at the same time, that takes time to build, right? The legacy, the brand, the financial backing of all of those things. And I'm saying this honestly with you all because I feel like we're in this cycle where we're seeing coaches and mentors that are like, oh, I've got a 10K month or a 20K month or whatever it is. And it's like there's so many different reasons why that is the way it is. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors in this industry, which I don't want to showcase. I want to showcase that actually when you lead with your heart and you give all of yourself to what you do, that's the real win in it. And the financial side of it should come as a byproduct. And sometimes the financial element isn't the goal. And that's something, yeah, that I've learned this year more than anything. But with all of what was happening this year, so there's so much to cram in. I can't go month by month because it's just too much. But basically, the first 2 months were fine, just kind of, yeah, being aware as I am, leaning in, planning ahead, reaching out to different people than I've reached out before in terms of organizations and spreading my wings, which has been really nice, spreading further and wider. But I would say probably March time was when it all started to crumble. And if you've listened to the podcast there, you'll know that I spoke about my car breaking down. And that was when Mercury and Venus were both retrograde. And that really was the trigger point for me that kind of pulled me back into an old spiral. And what I know now to be true is that really stirred up, like I said, the dregs of the barrel. So the old timeline stuff came back up to the surface again. And as I've been moving through it now, in the month of August, like months on, when I've been having this like remnants of uncomfortableness and started trying to find out why. And this is again a problem sometimes that I want to highlight is that when you are radically self-aware, you can fall into self-criticism. And this is a line that I was dancing on from March to probably end of July, really, and a little bit in August at times. And I've had to pull myself on it because that inner critic voice for me is so dominant and so loud. It has been most of my life. But now, well, I say now, prior to this rocky patch I was feeling, and actually my general calm state is that I do speak positively and encouragingly to myself, which has taken a long time to build. But here's where that voice tricks you. It tricks you in the perfectionism thing, like when you're thinking, oh, I'll just do that. And then the brain's like, no, you need to do it like this, or you need to do it like that, or that's not good enough. This is where that inner critic starts to seep in. It's in the ways that you don't even realize. It's in the expectations that you have for yourself, like, I mean, most people will, most women will have that thing about, for me now, like being turning 34 and being single and not having kids or being married, that would be a real stigma and something that I would be, um, if I listened to society, I would be, yeah, feeling behind in, and all of the things. And what's really interesting for me is I trust my journey and my pathway. And although it's been really rocky and uncomfortable, I know that every single stepping stone that I've, wobbled or fallen on or broken has led me to a different pathway, one I was supposed to go down that led to the same end result ultimately in the end. And I trust that. And I think that for me, in my head, it makes logical sense as to why I haven't met my right person yet, because I'm building my legacy and my brand, right? And I feel like unless that person is going to help me and carry some of the weight or hold me up, then I don't want to settle for anything less than that. And I think if you are single listening to this, I hope that you feel the same way, as in you're not going to make yourself smaller or palatable for other people, but you are going to keep working on yourself, keep trying to enjoy life to the best of your ability. And trying is, I guess, is a word that I want to use when you feel like you can't anymore, or it feels heavy, or it feels hard. But trying to have fun, that's a nice way to use that word, I think. And especially because this year I have had to try a little bit. I've had to try to pull myself out of really difficult times, As I said, like March, the car situation happened, and then my aunt on my dad's side passed away, and I had to see all of my dad's family again, and then had to deal with those real deep abandonment wounds. And that affected me for months after, because again, there's no armor here. So I'm feeling everything so deeply, and my inner child is like screaming to be seen, and I'm having to sit with it, right? And that again healed that space really, really lovely. And just challenges in business, like unexpected payments and things like that you've got to do and create and be on a lot of the time. And I actually love what I do. I wouldn't take all that away for anything. But little things like the school funding was different this year. So I couldn't run my program again this half of the year. And some of the, connections that I had in schools didn't come through because of the funding. There was lots of different things that are setbacks that happened. And I know it seems very minor, but when you do what you love, it does feel like a personal attack when it doesn't happen the way you thought it would. But equally, again, like I said, different pathway. And it teaches us to be creative. And in all of that chaos, what I kept coming back to was the fact that when it was difficult and hard, I really leaned into my loved ones, like my family and my friends. I really just was like voice noting these really deep voice notes of like just feeling a bit lost or stuck or things being heavy. And they held me. And I can't even explain to you how beautiful that feels when I felt alone most of my life. I remember actually, I've written this in my blog. I wrote a blog about turning 33. So if you haven't read that, you can obviously, I'll link it to the podcast. But my friend Emma, when we're in LA, she's Emma, your spiritual reader. I've spoken about her before. She's really amazing. But the first thing she said to me when she did my angel card reading was, Spirit wants you to know that you're not alone. And I really feel like this year, that's what I've been shown, is that when you ask for help or you ask for support, it's there, And if you're someone that feels like no one understands me, no one gets me, are you showing up with complete vulnerability? Because if you are, I promise you, you'll be met with it in return. And the reason why I didn't feel as deeply connected and supported to my family and friends now, then as I did now, years ago, is because I wasn't being open and vulnerable with them. And so they never really got to see all of me. Whereas now, this is all of me. And I've been in pieces this year, let me tell you. And my family and friends have just rallied together to support me. And I'm like, how beautiful is that, of a full circle journey of seeing that my work impacts so many people all of the time, and yet I'm supported and loved. So, when we feel like, oh, we need a romantic partner to do that or whatever, I promise you, You don't, because your family and friends are going to be there for you. And if you have had one of these shifts where you start to change and people are funny about you changing, let them go, because the people that are supposed to stay with you will love you unconditionally. Let me tell you that from lived experience, right? And this for me feels like the polarity of the heaviness and things falling apart, but also being deeply held together. For me, I was thinking about this last night, and I feel like 33, three and a three, two numbers together. And that's exactly what has happened for me as a polarity, the balance of 33. It has been trials, tribulations, but also connections, community, feeling supported. That in itself is a gift, right? All of this, everything I've built this year, everything that's fallen this year has been for a deeper purpose and reason that I might not be able to see just yet. But what I do know for sure is it always leads to where it's supposed to be. And we're not supposed to know the answers, right? And I just think it's just for me, I remember pulling cards on my birthday last year, and I did get the Three of Cups, and I definitely feel like the Three of Cups is relevant for this year for sure. But I also pulled the Tower, I think, and I feel like that's definitely been the series of this year, Tower moments, right? And I think actually even on New Year's Day or Eve, I pulled some cards for what the year would look like. And they were really bad cards. And I thought, right, I'm going to reshuffle them because they're not good. Funny enough, they weren't lying. I've definitely moved through all of that stuff. But I think coming into 34, feeling loved, oh, you just can't ask for something better than that. And the rest of the year is looking so amazing for me. I've contacted my local council, and there's a chance for me to connect with more women and girls, and being available to receive some funding, possibly to be able to connect my program, but also deliver some talks. I'm also doing lots of talks throughout the year, and there's opportunities with London Youth to be working with them. So the rest of the year is looking really, really beautiful for me, and I'm grateful for that. And also, the week of my birthday, I have my best friend's wedding and all that stuff. And there was obviously a part of me that was a bit uncomfortable about that at the beginning, because I was thinking, oh gosh, like, I have nothing to show for the 34. My friend's getting married for the second time, and I'm still here. And I'm like, do you know what? Everything I am is what I say I am. And I'm so dedicated to building this legacy that it shows in everything I am. And I'm really bloody proud of that. And I think if there's anything to be proud of, following your purpose and your passion, I don't know many people that get to do that. So if that is my achievement for my life so far, then I'm really happy with that, because I know so many people that will search their entire lives to find one sense of direction that leads them to who they're here to be. And the fact that I've been able to dedicate myself and my life path to that, I'm really proud of myself for that. But most importantly, I'm really grateful for the love and support I've received in order to be able to provide me with the opportunities to be able to do that as well, because not everyone has that. And don't get me wrong, it's been a rocky path to get there, but yeah, love is always the answer. And I can't believe I'm saying that. It feels so cheesy, but it's just the truth, man. Like when we say like, oh, love conquers all and all these things, we're like eye roll. But it really is that. It doesn't need to be the lovey-dovey romantic love. It can be the love between you and your best friend, or the love between you and your sibling, the love between you and your pet. That is really the answer, because in the sea of despair, that has been the one thing that's kept true, consistent, and supportive throughout every part of this rocky, rocky journey. And I could have given you so much details of the ins and outs of what else happened this year, but I feel like you can go back and listen to the weekly episodes I was doing. Let me tell you, you're going to hear it all in there. But more so, I just want you to know that if you are going through a hard time, or you've been through a hard time, there's always glimmers, always glimmers of hope, of love, of opportunity. And when our brain is wired to look for fear, it will find it. Whereas when our brain is wired to look for love, it will feel it, and that's really the difference. And You deserve to be deeply loved. Like the collaborations, the connections, the community I've built this year, I can't fault it, like that for me, that's the legacy piece of my work. And I know that all of the beautiful love that I've received is because of the love that I've given out too. It's always a two-way street, and I'm so, so, so proud of that. So yeah, funny enough, it was just 3:33 on the clock there. Just saying. But anyway, thank you for listening to my 33 update. I will be, yes, 34 the next time I record an episode for you. So that's exciting. I'm debating whether I'll have a week off next week because it's my birthday weekend, the wedding, bank holiday. So I'm just gonna see how it rolls, no pressure. We'll just see. If I'm back again for 108 in a week's time, then no harm. But what I did want to share with you is that I have the most amazing offer that my clients have used over and over again, and I stopped doing it because I was thinking I want to focus more on a long-term process with my clients. And actually, I feel like more people want short-term, and that works, for them. And I think that that's why I thought for this week only, for my birthday week, I'm going to relaunch the Ignite Accelerator, which is 6 90-minute calls. And it's literally me and you. We deep dive into your inner child wounds, the blocks that have been holding you back. I mean, for you, you might not even know that it's your inner child wounds, right? It shows up in procrastination. It shows up in not being able to connect with people and feeling alone. It shows up in romantic relationships. Like if you're struggling in your life with following through with what it is you want to create or be, or just feeling not very confident in your life, then this is the offer for you. 6 90-minute calls that you can take across 3 months whenever you want to, obviously when we're both free in the diary. And yeah, we just get to touch base in between. I get to hold your hand through that journey, but without you feeling like when you've got no time, and you're like, I'm busy. At least this works for busy women around their schedule, and it's so high impact. It literally makes such a difference. And the conversions that I've had from this in terms of like people's lives changing have been incredible. Like one of the ladies that worked with me, she wanted to start her own dance classes, cut down her hours at work, create more time freedom and more love and care for herself. And that's exactly what she did in the time we worked together. And now her classes are like pretty much full, sold out every week. She's been asked to go to other places as a byproduct of those classes going well. And then two of the other ladies that have done the same program, I mean, saying that, I say it's not a program, it's just a space. But one of the ladies, she actually did more calls for me because she worked with me for a longer amount of time. But both of those ladies, they wanted to fall pregnant, and in different ways for different reasons. And both of them, in the time they worked with me, the last call or after the last call, I had a message to say they were pregnant. And one of them has had her baby. The other one is not long far off having their baby now, probably the end of the year. So yeah, if there is a goal or a dream or something that you're trying to build or create for yourself, and you're feeling like just need a little bit of extra help with this, I am your gal, your personal cheerleader, your personal shoulder to cry on, someone to hold space for you and allow you to feel seen, heard, and understood, because that's really all we ever want as human beings, right? And especially as women, having another woman to hold you is the most beautiful space. So the Ignite Accelerator is 6 90-minute calls for £2,222, or you can split it into two payments of £1,222, whatever works for you. But I'm really excited to launch that again. And yeah, for 1 week, let's see how many people need this offer. And as always, you can join my Inner Power Portal, which is £33 a month, and you get 2 live calls, and you get to be part of the community. And yeah, soak up all of my knowledge and wisdom. I'm sending you so much love. I can't believe I'm almost 34. Oh my gosh. I'm like nearly mid-30s. But don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm really excited for 34 and what it brings. So let's see. I'm ready. Lots of love. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please do comment as well what you feel like you've learned from the episode. It's really helpful. And if you can rate it on a 5-star review, I would be so grateful, because that just means that more women get access to these teachings within the episodes. And also, who would you like to be on the show? DM me and let me know. And please do share with a friend that you know needs to hear what's in this episode today. I would also love to invite you into my Inner Power portal, because that is the space where all of my meditations are, all of my activations, and I host 2 live sessions per month that do include movement and my spiritual downloads and all the beautiful things that I offer all in one space. Plus you get to ask me any questions that you have. So I'd love to see you in there. Have a great week.